What's up, everybody? It is episode number 4 of Producing a Country Record. I am working on Anderson Elswick's EP. It's a 6-song EP, and we are taking a look at the song Broken Man step by step as we are going through the process. If you haven't caught the other videos, go back and watch them. We've got a video where I got to get drums recorded by Matt Goldman. Matt works on records here out of Gem City Studios, and it was super awesome to have a good friend of mine, fantastic drummer, incredible producer, play the drums on a record that is very important to me. This week, we're going to look at guitars. I love guitars. I'm a guitar player, so tracking guitars for a record, that's my favorite part of the process. But this one is maybe a little bit more special to me than some of the other records that I've worked on, because I have this Lucky Dog Evangelist to cut the record with. Now, I'm not going to play it. We hired a brilliant guitar player from Alabama named Austin Anderson to play all of the guitars for Anderson Elswick's record. I know it's confusing. Austin Anderson, Anderson Elswick. It was a long weekend in the studio. I definitely messed up a few times. This guitar, handmade in Cleveland, Tennessee. Lucky Dog is a brand of guitar that I have been familiar with for a couple of years now. They are gorgeous instruments. Some of them have a distressed look. They're completely custom. This one, Anthony modeled after an old farm gate that he had sitting around. It's got a flame maple neck, alder body. They're just wonderful instruments. They are completely custom, but one of the things that's even more special about using the Lucky Dog for Anderson's record is that Anthony Sims, the owner of Lucky Dog, is Anderson Elswick's first cousin. So I got to drive down to Chattanooga, go to Anthony's shop, pick up the Lucky Dog, see his facility where he is building the guitars by hand, one at a time, and talk to him about how he started his business, and then bring this Evangelist back with me to the studio for us to borrow and use on Anderson's EP. Again, this is a really fantastic instrument. I'm very glad that Anthony let us use it for Anderson's record. It was wonderful sounding, as you will hear towards the end of this video, and I just want to let you know that I've got 2 more videos that are coming out. One that's going to be on the Capsule to Cone channel, where we go and we visit Anthony's shop, and he tells us the story of how he went from just a guy that had a hobby building guitars, built a few for himself, to now he has an over 500 person waiting list, is building a bigger shop behind his house and taking on employees. It's a very, very cool story that I was glad to get to go and hear and be a part of, and am super excited to share with you all. Then I'm also making a tour video of Anthony's facility and showing some of his other guitars that he has in process, and that will be on Lucky Dog's Facebook page and probably their YouTube channel. So keep an eye peeled for that. Definitely go give a like or a follow to Lucky Dog Guitars. I'll have that linked below in the description box. All right, so as we get ready to go into the rest of this video, part of producing this EP for Anderson and making these songs sound the best that they can is getting the right players on the song. I noticed when I started producing records that the quality of the record, the outcome of the record, was largely dependent upon the people that you get to play on it. Finding the musicians that are the right fit and able to do the thing that you need for the particular song or record that you're working on is incredibly important. We looked at 3 different guitar players to play all of the electric guitars and lead parts on this record, and the first 2 guys that we looked at were great players and were probably capable of playing the parts that we needed for this record. But Anderson had a very specific style in mind, very specific thing that he wanted to go for. And so to me, as the producer, the guy that's in charge of bringing the album to life for the client, felt like the better route was to go for somebody that was already doing what Anderson wanted. A couple of the records that Anderson sent to me as references for I want something that is along these lines were Cody Johnson and also another independent local artist named Corey Rose. And so when I listened to those 2 records and listened to the style of guitar playing on them, I thought I need to find a guy that is doing this stuff. And so eventually that led me to reach out to Corey through Facebook and say, Corey, who played guitar on your record? And he gave me the contact information for Austin Anderson, who ultimately got the gig and came up and did exactly what we needed him to do. Austin's a fantastic guitar player. He brought his own pedal board. He brought a guitar with him, and we sent him scratch tracks with drums on them, charts that we made to the songs, and he came with a batch full of ideas. And it made the process of making the record really, really easy. We were able to focus on getting the sounds that we wanted for each of the songs and spending time tweaking his ideas from what he started with, what he'd played at home for the 2 days that he had the tracks to work on, to the finished ideas that we ended up putting down on the recording. A good producer and a good session musician are going to understand the needs of your record, understand your vision, and they are going to want your music to be the best version of your music that they can possibly make it. And so that is ultimately why we chose Austin Anderson to play on this record, because he got it and was able to do that specific thing for us. So there are 3 things that we're going to see in the rest of this video. First, we're going to look at Austin's signal chain and the equipment that we were using while we were recording the song. Second, we're going to get to see some clips of Austin playing down a couple of the parts on the song. And then third, I'm going to jump into Pro Tools and isolate each of the tracks so you can hear what we put together and all the layers as they come together in this song. Ready?
Yep.
Go for it. What are your thoughts for the lead? What are we going to do for the lead? Just a little slap. Maybe a little more gain. And you have sort of a hook idea too?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. What do you... Give me your thoughts.
That's cool. Sounds good. You think it sounds good?
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Do that. Or if it was da da da. That's neat. What was the first part of that? So that was the second. You did one before that though.
It's like this one.
What if it was like... Well, that's a little like...
A little more country.
Yeah, it's a little more country, yeah. Yeah, that was sounding a little southern rockish to me, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like that'd be a cool like solo run maybe. Yeah.
Oh,
That's cool. want to try something?
Yeah.
Alright.
I don't see how it sounds over top of that rhythm.
Yeah. All right, here we go. All right, you goobers, let's jump in here and look at this Pro Tools screen capture. We're going to listen to some of the song. A couple of things that I want to mention before we dive in and look at the guitar parts. We did re-record Anderson's vocal. Since Matt and I decided to speed it up before we tracked the drums, it made sense to go ahead and re-record that so that we didn't have to listen to glitchy, time-stretched, elastic audio on the vocals for the duration of recording the song. We also went ahead and recorded the acoustic guitar, and so that's done. Bass guitar got recorded actually yesterday, and I'm just finishing up this video today. I'm going to go ahead and leave that in there because I like the way that the electric guitars sound better with the bass guitar because I can pan them wide and the mix still feels centered to me, and I think this demo will be just more enjoyable for all of us if I leave it in there. But there is a proper acoustic guitar and bass guitar video coming for this series later, so just be patient and it will arrive. All right, so let's jump in. Let's listen to coming into the top of this chorus without the electric guitars, and then I'll start pulling them in one by one and letting you hear what they sound like by themselves and in the track. Also worth mentioning is that every one of the guitar tracks that you'll see over here on the side, you'll have a smaller track, that's the DI. Then we'll have a 57, that's a 57 on one of the speakers in the Ampeg V4 cab. Then you're going to have this one that says FH. That was a fathead when I first started building the session, and we started with the fathead on the guitar cab. Didn't like the way that it sounded as much, and so I swapped it out for an SE Electronics Voodoo VR1. So all the ones that are labeled FH, they're actually not a fathead. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to leave all the guitars muted as we come into the top of this chorus, and then I'll just kind of start bringing them in one by one, and we'll listen to them in solo, and it'll be cool. But I can't help to let it show, 'cause I'm a broken man. So the first one is the rhythm. It's panned to the left side, and this is what the rhythm track sounds like. But I can't help to let it show. Okay, so pretty basic. All right, and then from there, we've got this lead. Now, this lead changes throughout the song. It's pretty cool, though. It starts at the top of the song, and we've got kind of this almost hook idea, and I wanted Austin to change it at various points of the song to make it sound similar, but then to also make it sound different at each stage of the song where you hear this lead idea that he came up with. So let's hear it at the very top of the song. And then once Anderson starts singing, I wanted him to pull back and choke it off a little bit more and kind of make a more understated version so that it felt significant, like we were in the verse now. Something has changed. And so I'm going to go ahead and play you the verse licks. As opposed to the top, the intro licks. right? So there's definitely a difference. It's a little more understated, and it's cool. It kind of helps that verse to fill out a little bit. So then we move on from there, and as it builds, we go right into the chorus, and he kind of plays through the chords just in a different way so that it sounds like two different guitar players. You've got the rhythm that's still kind of driving, and then you've got the lead that is a little bit busier, and that's what this sounds like. And that's really what I wanted the whole song to sound like when we were in those choruses, is for it to sound bigger and like it's got two guitar players. And of course, this song is also going to get some pedal steel on it and possibly some fiddle. And so we kind of, by having the guitar players just focus on the chord structure and then be panned really wide like that, you get two different kind of varieties of sound. It makes it sound really wide, but then it also leaves room for the steel to do some lead work kind of in those choruses. So thinking ahead, that's just that's where we're at with this. So then the next verse, we come into it, and the pattern changes. It's kind of like this.
Sometimes late at night, I swear I hear your name again.
So again, to just go back and remember what it sounded like in the first verse.
My words slurring in my heart.
And the second verse, same chords.
Sometimes late at night.
Same chords, but different inversion. And then at the very end of the song, we go back to playing them like this. To kind of wrap us up and bring us back to that hook that we heard at the top of the song. All right, so we've got a couple of other guitars that I want to go ahead and listen to. In the second verse, while this is going on and we kind of change the pattern that we're playing, I wanted to bring in something else that was going to add a little bit of movement. And so I'm actually going to start by showing you this one in solo, because I don't want this to be something that's necessarily in the foreground of the song, but again, I want that second verse to feel like it's something brand new, something that we've never heard before, and so we're kind of pulling out all the stops and making it sound a lot different than that first verse. And so we've got this guitar part that's kind of this plucked thing, this plucked idea that I had that Austin really nailed. So this sounds like this. And the idea there was just to have something that, again, would make that second verse sound a little bit different than the first verse, but we wanted it to have kind of some movement to it also, and that's why we ended up putting the phaser and the delay on it. In the track, it sounds like this.
Sometimes late at night, I swear I hear your name again.
Then Anderson had an idea that he wanted to throw out, and so he wanted there to be some kind of guitar stabs between the vocal phrases that were really signature, kind of twangy country sounding, and Austin played those. They sound like this. They're super cool. Let's go ahead and listen to them in solo first. And so the second verse altogether sounds like this.
I thought my heart might break. Sometimes late at night, I swear I hear your name again. I can't sleep, I toss and turn all night long with this.
And then what's really cool about that is that we come back into that lead guitar part from the beginning, and as we're building into the second chorus, Austin threw in a couple of licks on that also. All right, and then finally, and to wrap this video up, we've got the guitar solo. We did about 10 takes of this. Austin wanted to get it just right. It's really cool. It's a very Paisley-inspired guitar solo, which is a super cool thing. And then after we had done about 10 takes, we took the best beginning half and the best ending half, comped them together, and this is the solo that we ended up with. There we go. It was super fun. We did all the guitar tracks for all 6 songs in 2 days. Austin came super prepared. He is a great session guitar player. If you're looking for somebody to hire to play on your next record, get in touch with me, do the YouTube channel, and I will give you Austin's contact information, or you can find him on Facebook. Just look through my friends, Austin Anderson. You will find him, and you need this guy playing on your record if you're doing something country like this. He is fantastic at it and for it, and will make your record sound better than you imagined. So he was also a dream to work with. These parts came together really, really easy just because he was so prepared and because he was so willing to just flesh out any idea that Anderson and I had while we were dreaming up what this song was supposed to sound like and what the rest of the songs were supposed to sound like. So that's all. I've been Matt for Capsule to Cone. Thanks for watching this, and I'll see you in the next video, which will be about recording bass guitar with my good friend Jordan Allen.